I was paying for a cake at the grocery store when the cashier grabbed my arm. His grip was firm, urgent, and the words he whispered in my ear about my son and his family made my blood run cold. I stood there, receipt trembling in my hand, heart pounding so hard I could hear it in my ears. Was it possible? Could what this stranger just told me actually be true? I walked out the back entrance, hid behind the trash dumpsters, because if he was right, I was about to watch my entire family fall apart. Here's what I didn't know that afternoon. That single decision to hide and observe would expose a 2-year lie that had already cost us $15,000. And it was about to get worse. My name is Adeline Thorne, 67 years old, living alone on a pension that barely covers bills. Every month, I count dollars multiple times before spending them, always prioritizing others before myself. My son Owen married Sienna 3 years ago. From the beginning, something felt off. Her family, especially her father Leonard, always talked about their desperate financial situation, how they struggled, how they couldn't make ends meet, and I helped when I could. We both did. That morning, I had counted out exactly $43 from my savings jar. 20 of it would go to a cake for our visit to Sienna's family. The rest I needed for medications and groceries. I chose my best dress, the one I save for special occasions, styled my hair to hide the gray, put on the fake pearl earrings my dead mother gave me decades ago. Owen picked me up exactly on time. During the drive, he seemed tense. We talked about nothing important. He avoided mentioning Sienna or her family entirely. That should have been my first clue. At the grocery store, I chose a simple vanilla cake. $18, 2 less than budgeted. Small victories. Then everything changed. The cashier looked at my name when my card was rejected, asked if I was Owen's mother. His expression shifted completely when I said yes. Worried, almost scared. He grabbed my arm and leaned close. What he told me I will never forget. Sienna's family came to that store regularly, spending hundreds on imported products and premium meats while constantly asking my son for money. Leonard had bragged about it multiple times, how my son helped them financially every month. The cashier had seen Leonard buy wine that cost more than I spent on food for an entire week. Sienna bought expensive beauty products and designer clothes, always cash. He decided to tell me because he'd watched me count coins to pay for a simple cake while they spent without care on luxuries. His own mother had gone through something similar. He regretted not acting sooner. I left the store completely shaken. My mind refused to process it. That's why I hid behind those dumpsters. I needed to see with my own eyes. 2 minutes later, Leonard walked out carrying bags from a high-end store I'd only ever known by sight. The name shimmered in gold on black bags he carried with casual ease. My heart started racing. He walked to a brand new car, not the old worn-out vehicle they always complained about when asking for help. This one gleamed under the afternoon sun, paint perfect, tires spotless. I watched him carefully place the bags inside, like someone protecting something valuable. Then he pulled out his phone, started talking. His body language was relaxed, comfortable, not the posture of someone with urgent financial worries. At that moment, I remembered all the times Sienna had called Owen asking for help. They couldn't pay rent. Leonard needed medical help. They couldn't afford food for the week. And my son, with his kind heart, always found a way to send something. But what I was seeing didn't match those desperate stories at all. Leonard finished his call and headed back toward the store. His eyes scanned the parking lot carefully, making sure no one had seen him. That cautious attitude seemed very suspicious. I stayed hidden. My gut told me there was more to discover. Then I heard voices. 2 elderly women pushing shopping carts. "Did you see Sienna's new dress at the mall yesterday?" one said. "Must have cost at least $200. I saw an identical one in that expensive store on the 2nd floor. The other woman nodded. "My granddaughter works at that French beauty store. Says Sienna's a frequent customer. Spends like money's raining from the sky." My chest tightened. The first woman continued. "What strikes me most is she's always buying new things, but goes around saying they're in desperate financial times. My friend at the bank told me their deposits don't match the poverty story at all. Every week, the other added, delivery trucks from the most expensive grocery stores arrive at their house, purchases any of us would take months to afford. Every word was a knife in my heart. For months, I had felt sorry for that family, worried about their well-being, contributed my own small savings on several occasions. I remembered when Sienna called me directly, crying. They needed urgent help for Leonard's doctor, had to choose between medicine or food. That night, I couldn't sleep thinking about their suffering. The next day, I withdrew $150 from my emergency savings, money I'd been saving for my own medical needs. But I gave it to her because I couldn't bear the thought of them suffering. Now, listening to these women, I felt like the most foolish woman in the world. My phone buzzed, Owen asking what happened, why I was taking so long. I lied, said I was in a long line, because I wasn't ready to destroy his world yet. When I finally reached the car, Owen looked concerned. Mom, are you okay? You look pale. Just tired, son. During the drive to Sienna's house, I tried to gather more information. How's Leonard's job been lately? I asked casually. Last time I spoke to Sienna, she said things were very difficult. Owen sighed. Yeah, Sienna said her dad had to reduce his hours. The company's having problems. That's why we've been helping more these past months. The information didn't match Leonard's relaxed demeanor at all. A man truly worried about reduced hours wouldn't be spending at expensive stores or handing cash to strangers in parking lots. We arrived at their neighborhood, pleasant residential area, well-maintained houses, manicured lawns, not a place where people in extreme financial difficulty would live. Sienna's house was a 2-story building, well-decorated lawn, recently painted facade, new curtains. The front door looked freshly renovated. The house looks very well kept, I commented. Didn't you say they were having trouble paying for repairs? Leonard managed to get extra work on weekends, Owen replied, to make the most urgent repairs. Another story that didn't add up. The door opened before we could knock. Sienna appeared with a radiant smile. I almost gasped. Her dress was expensive, high-quality fabric, perfect cut, vibrant colors. Her shoes were clearly new. Her handbag matched perfectly. But what struck me most was her hair and makeup. Professional salon cut, highlights that shimmered, flawless makeup that required expensive products and time. Adeline, what a joy to see you. She embraced me. Her perfume hit me instantly. A costly fragrance I'd once seen priced at my 2-week food budget. You look great, I managed. That dress is beautiful. This old thing? She laughed. Bought it on clearance months ago. You know how it is. Good deals, you have to take advantage. The explanation was exactly what the woman at the store had mentioned. There was always a justification. Incredible deals, gifts from friends, second-hand purchases that looked new. How many extraordinary coincidences could one family have? Inside, I noticed immediately. The living room had been redecorated. New leather sofa. Glass coffee table gleaming. Several expensive decorative objects. On the wall, a large flat-screen TV that hadn't been there before. Recent model. Cost several thousand. How could a family in financial crisis explain a luxury television? Leonard appeared from the kitchen. When he saw me, something flickered in his eyes. Surprise, maybe, but he quickly smiled. Adeline, so good to see you. Hope you're hungry. Sienna's prepared a delicious meal. It was the same Leonard from the grocery store an hour earlier, but now acting as if he hadn't left the house all day. I looked past them into the kitchen. The counters were full. Expensive cuts of meat, fresh, exotic vegetables, bottles of imported seasonings. The amount of food could feed a family for days. The quality was far superior to what I could afford for my own meals. Did you prepare all this? I asked. We wanted something special for your visit, Leonard replied. Got some ingredients on sale. The miraculous sales again. During lunch, the table was set with dinnerware I didn't remember. Plates and glasses of good quality, not the kind someone worried about every penny would use. The food was abundant. Several main courses, elaborate salads, side dishes with expensive ingredients. Leonard poured wine into crystal glasses. I recognized it from the grocery store. More than $50 a bottle. This wine is delicious, I said. Special brand? A friend in imports got it for me at a special price, Leonard said proudly. Normally we couldn't afford wines like this, but when opportunities come up, always a perfect explanation. My phone buzzed. Text from an unknown number. The grocery store cashier. He'd gotten my number somehow. Sent me a photo, a grocery receipt from 2 days earlier. Total over $400. Premium products, imported meats, fresh seafood, expensive wines, specialty cheeses, gourmet items. Leonard's name on the receipt. The message read, Mrs. Thorne, I'm sorry to bother you, but I thought you should see this. This receipt is from 2 days ago. Your family needs to know the truth. My heart pounded. $400 in luxury goods. 2 days before our visit, by the man supposedly struggling to pay for basic expenses. I quickly put my phone away. Are you feeling okay, Mom? Owen asked. You look pale. Just a little tired. For the next hour, I observed. Collected evidence. Every inconsistency. Every inexplicable luxury. Every convenient justification. Sienna's new clothes. Leonard's car. The well-maintained house. The abundant food. The expensive wine. The shopping bags. The receipt. The list grew constantly. But what hurt most was realizing this had probably been going on for months, maybe years. How much money had my son sent? How many sacrifices had he made? And how many had I made to help people who didn't need help? When we finally left, Owen commented on how nice the visit had been, how well Sienna's family looked. His words were daggers in my heart. Yes, I replied carefully. They look very well, maybe too well for a family going through such severe difficulties. The drive home was torture. Every mile took me physically away from where I'd discovered the truth, but brought me emotionally closer to a decision that would change everything. Owen was whistling, happy. He had no idea his mother had been collecting evidence of an elaborate scam. Mom, he said at a traffic light, I'm so glad you get along well with Sienna's family. I know you had reservations at first, but now you can see what good people they are. My heart broke. Owen, I began carefully. Have you ever noticed anything inconsistent in their stories about their financial situation? He glanced at me. What do you mean? Today I noticed they have a lot of new things. The television, furniture, Sienna's clothes. All of that costs money. He sighed. Mom, I already explained. Leonard's been getting extra jobs. Sienna's good at finding deals. Not everything new is expensive. But don't you think it's strange a family needing constant help for basic expenses can afford so many luxuries? They're not luxuries, Mom. Defensiveness crept into his voice. They're basic needs met through effort and sacrifice. The TV was secondhand. The furniture was an opportunity. Sienna's clothes are from clearance. Each justification was exactly what I'd heard from Leonard and Sienna, as if they'd rehearsed. Son, have you seen receipts confirming these deals? Have you accompanied Sienna when she finds these bargains? His hands tightened on the wheel. Mom, why all these questions? Sienna's my wife. If she tells me she got something on sale, I believe her. Marriage is based on trust. Of course, but it's also important to protect yourself from people who might take advantage of that trust. Are you insinuating Sienna and her family are deceiving me? Now clearly annoyed. That's a serious accusation. I'm not accusing anyone. I'm expressing concerns as a mother who loves you. The rest of the trip passed in tense silence. When we arrived at my apartment, his goodbye hug was colder than usual. Mom, I hope you can give Sienna's family a chance. They're good people doing the best they can. That night, alone in my apartment, I sat with tea and tried to organize my thoughts. I had abundant evidence, testimonies, observations, even a photo of the $400 receipt. But I also had a son completely convinced his wife and her family were victims who deserved his help. Any direct attempt to confront that belief had resulted in resistance. I looked at the receipt photo again. Over $400 in luxury goods, 2 days before our visit. That amount was more than I spent on food for an entire month. I remembered all the times Owen came home stressed after working extra hours to send them money. The occasions when I contributed my own savings, feeling sorry for their desperate situation. The indignation I'd been holding back finally emerged with force. It wasn't just the money. It was the emotional manipulation, the systematic exploitation of my son's good feelings, the calculated web of lies built to sustain their lifestyle at our expense. They had probably been laughing at us. Every time we sent money, every time we worried, every time we sacrificed to help them. But what tortured me most was what to do with this information. I had evidence, observations, documented inconsistencies, but I also had a son who would refuse to believe anything negative about his wife without absolutely irrefutable proof. If I acted too quickly, I risked alienating Owen, pushing him closer to Sienna. But if I didn't act soon, the manipulation would continue, possibly get worse. My son would continue being exploited. I needed more evidence. Evidence so clear and indisputable that even Owen couldn't deny it. That night, I made my decision. I would not confront Owen until I had absolutely solid proof. Instead, I would begin my own discreet investigation, collecting evidence impossible to deny or explain with convenient stories about miraculous deals and mysterious extra jobs. The following days were the most difficult I'd experienced in years. Every interaction with Owen was an exercise in self-control. The evidence weighed on my conscience like a burden I couldn't share. During that week, I received 3 more messages from the cashier. Each contained additional information confirming my suspicions, photos of other receipts, purchases made by Leonard and Sienna in recent weeks, all showing excessive spending on unnecessary, expensive products. One receipt was over $600, 2 bottles of French champagne over $100 each, imported seafood, gourmet cheeses. The date was the same day Sienna had called Owen asking for urgent help to pay rent. I also heard from Hermione, one of the women from the grocery store. She'd gotten my number through a mutual friend. She told me Sienna's family had been organizing regular parties, events with professional catering and expensive decorations. A birthday party for Leonard that cost, according to guests, several thousand in food, drinks, and entertainment. Adeline, she told me, my daughter lives on their block. Delivery trucks with expensive purchases arrive constantly. Clothes, appliances, furniture. It's not normal for a family supposedly in crisis. Each new piece of information made it harder to maintain silence. But I knew I needed the right moment to present everything to Owen in a way that couldn't be dismissed. The moment came on a Wednesday night. Owen visited after work. He looked exhausted, stressed. Sienna asked for additional money. He explained, rubbing his temples. Leonard needs minor surgery. Insurance doesn't cover everything. They need $200 by Friday. I've been working double shifts all week. That was the last straw. $200 for a supposed medical emergency. By the same family that spent $600 on champagne and seafood days earlier. I couldn't let my son sacrifice himself anymore. Owen, I said, taking his hands, I need to show you something. Before I do, know that I'm doing this because I love you, because I can't stand to see you being hurt. I showed him the first photo, the $400 receipt. His eyes widened. Before he could speak, I showed him the others, all the photos from the past week. Mom, where did you get these? How do you know they're real? I explained everything, the cashier, the neighbors' conversations, all my observations during our visit. I spoke slowly, carefully, presenting each piece of evidence logically. But there has to be an explanation, Owen insisted, though his voice wavered. Maybe Leonard had a good month, or they received money from another source. Son, these luxury purchases were made on the same days Sienna called you asking for help with basic expenses. Doesn't that seem like too much of a coincidence? I could see realization starting to sink in. Besides, I continued, showing him information about the expensive parties. Neighbors have seen how this family really lives. It's not the story of desperate poverty they've been telling you. Owen stood, started pacing. I could see his mind working, recalling past conversations, broken promises, small inconsistencies he'd probably ignored before. But why? He finally asked, voice completely defeated. Why would Sienna lie about something so important? Because it worked. You've been sending them money regularly without asking questions. For them, you're a reliable source of additional income to maintain a lifestyle they couldn't otherwise afford. Tears formed in his eyes. How much money have I given them total? According to what you've told me, probably more than 5,000, not counting what I've given. The number hit him like a physical punch. 5,000 represented months of extra work, personal sacrifices, lost opportunities. I need to talk to Sienna, he said with new determination. I need to confront her with this and hear her explanation. Are you sure you're ready? Once you put this on the table, there's no turning back. Your relationship will change forever. Owen was silent, looking at the photos over and over, processing not just the financial evidence, but the emotional implications of being deceived by the person he loved. Mom, he said finally, thank you for showing me this. I know it must have been difficult to decide whether to tell me, but you were right. I needed to know. I hugged him tightly, feeling both relief and worry about what would come next. What are you going to do? I'm going home tonight, Owen replied with firmness I hadn't heard in months. And I'm going to have a very serious conversation with my wife. Depending on what she says, I'm going to make some important decisions about our future. At 2 a.m, my phone rang. Owen's voice sounded completely different. Mom, you were right about everything. Completely. What happened? When I got home, I decided to check some things first. I went to our room and looked through her things. Something I'd never done because I trusted her completely. He found shopping bags hidden in the closet, all from expensive stores, receipts showing hundreds in clothes and accessories, jewelry he'd never seen Sienna wear, still with price tags. But that wasn't the worst part, Mom. In her purse, I found a notebook. She'd written down all the money she's asked me for over the past 2 years. Every lie, every emergency, every invented story documented like it was a job. My heart sank. Not only had they been lying, but they'd been keeping a detailed record as if it were legitimate business. What else was in the notebook? Plans to ask for more money. She had notes that the next story would be a dental emergency for her mother. 1,800. She also had notes on how to make me feel guilty if I doubted or asked too many questions. The cold calculations sickened me. When did you confront her? At first, she denied everything. Said the purchases were gifts. The notebook was just household expenses. I was misinterpreting. But when I showed her the photos you had of the grocery receipts, her strategy changed completely. How? She got furious, yelled that I had no right to go through her things, that your family never really accepted her, that it was all your fault for putting ideas in my head. Said you'd always been a meddling mother-in-law who wanted to destroy our marriage. The accusations hurt, but didn't surprise me. Typical of manipulators to become victims when confronted. But what impacted me most, Owen continued, was when she finally admitted the truth. She told me her family had never been in financial crisis. Leonard has a stable job that pays well. It had all been a strategy to take advantage of my generosity. She used that word specifically. Take advantage. Said I was easy to convince, that my family had money we could afford to share, as if we were responsible for maintaining their luxurious lifestyle. The conversation continued over an hour. Owen told me every detail, every lie revealed, every manipulation exposed. He'd also called Leonard during the argument, wanted to hear his version. What did Leonard say? He admitted everything too. Said they'd decided from the beginning I was a good match for Sienna because I had a stable job and a family that could help them financially. He told me it was never personal, just business, as if that made it okay. The coldness of that admission left me speechless. And what did Sienna say when her father admitted everything? That was the most revealing part. Owen laughed bitterly. She got mad at him for ruining the plan. She wasn't angry the lies hurt our marriage. She was angry her father confessed and ruined her ability to keep deceiving me. For the next hour, Owen discovered more details. The medical emergencies never existed. Leonard's work problems were fabricated. Even the incredible deals had a simpler explanation. They simply bought what they wanted with money my son sent regularly. What hurts most isn't the money I lost. It's realizing for 2 years of marriage, I never knew the woman I married. Everything was an act designed to keep me giving them money. What are you going to do now? I've already told Sienna our marriage is over. There's no way to rebuild trust after such systematic, calculated betrayal. Tomorrow I'm starting divorce proceedings. Though I knew it was right, my heart ached for him. I also made it clear they won't get another cent from our family, and if they try contacting you for help, tell them exactly what I think of their methods. Of course, son. Mom, Owen said before hanging up. Thank you for having the courage to show me the truth. I know it must have been difficult, especially knowing it would probably destroy my marriage. But you saved me from years more of being used and manipulated. After hanging up, I sat in darkness, processing everything. The truth had finally come to light, but it came at a very high cost for my son. His marriage had ended. His trust had been betrayed. He would have to rebuild his life from scratch. But I also knew that long-term, the truth had freed him from a situation that would only have gotten worse. Sienna and her family would never have stopped asking for money, would never have voluntarily confessed, would probably have escalated manipulations until they'd completely drained my son's resources. The months following that night were a process of healing and rebuilding. Owen moved into a small apartment near his job while processing the divorce. I accompanied him every step, offering the support he needed to overcome the betrayal. The divorce revealed even more details. Owen's lawyers discovered Sienna had been hiding significant assets throughout their marriage. A secret bank account where she deposited some money from my son. Valuable items she'd been buying, then hiding. The lawyer calculated that over our 2 years of marriage, I sent them more than $15,000, Owen told me during one of our weekly meals. The number deeply impacted me. Years of honest work, sacrificed for people who saw him only as easy income. But what made me most proud was seeing how Owen matured through this painful experience. During the legal process, Sienna and her family tried contacting me several times. Leonard called, trying to convince me to intercede with Owen, promised they'd return all the money. Never ask for help again. His pleas sounded desperate, but I'd learned to recognize their manipulations. Leonard, I told him during the last call I accepted, you had 2 years to be honest with my son. You chose lies, manipulation, and deceit. Now you have to live with the consequences. Sienna also attempted a final manipulation. Showed up at my apartment one afternoon unannounced, dressed in simple clothes, no makeup, trying to project vulnerability and repentance. But I knew her techniques too well. Adeline, she said with rehearsed tears, I know we made mistakes, but I really loved Owen. This got out of control. We never wanted to hurt him. Sienna, I replied with unexpected calm. Real love doesn't include systematic lies and calculated manipulation. What you did wasn't love. It was exploitation disguised as love. She tried various approaches: repentant victim, desperate wife, daughter-in-law who wanted to mend family relationships. Every strategy only confirmed what I knew about her true nature. The money you took isn't just money, I explained. It represented his trust, his future, his ability to believe in people he loves. That can't be returned with apologies. Finally, after over an hour of failed attempts, Sienna showed her true colors. Her expression changed completely. Cold. I always knew you were the problem in this marriage. Owen would have been happy if you hadn't meddled. Maybe, I replied calmly, but he would have been happy while being deceived and exploited. I prefer him temporarily unhappy but free than happy but used. After that confrontation, I never heard from them again. According to Hermione, they moved out of the neighborhood weeks later, probably to avoid embarrassment of everyone knowing the truth. Owen's recovery was gradual but constant. At first, he was angry with himself for being so trusting, but with time and perspective, he began understanding his generosity and trust weren't weaknesses. They were valuable qualities that had been exploited by unscrupulous people. Mom, he told me during dinner near his new apartment, I've been thinking about everything that happened. I realize I learned something important. Generosity must be accompanied by wisdom. Trust must be earned and maintained, not given blindly. With money he no longer had to send, Owen rebuilt his finances, started a savings account, began investing in his professional future. For the first time in years, he could enjoy small luxuries without guilt. He also helped improve my situation, insisted on giving me money for new appliances I needed, began visiting more frequently, bringing quality food we could share without worrying about cost. It's ironic, he reflected one day. All this time, I was worried about helping a family that didn't need help, while you, who really could have used support, never asked for anything. 6 months after the divorce, Owen had found new balance. Learned to be more cautious without becoming cynical. Wiser without losing his ability to trust people who truly deserved it. Mom, he told me during one of our Sunday walks, I want to thank you again for having the courage to show me the truth. I know it was difficult to decide whether to intervene. Son, I replied, a mother must always protect her children, even when it hurts. My job isn't just to love you, it's to make sure the people you love truly deserve you. The grocery store cashier, Eli, also became an unexpected friend. He visited to ask how things turned out. We talked for hours about the importance of speaking up when we see injustices. Mrs. Thorne, Eli told me before leaving, my mother went through something similar years ago. No one had the courage to tell her the truth. When everything was discovered, she'd lost all her life savings. That's why I decided to talk to you. Some truths hurt, but silence hurts more. 2 years have passed since that afternoon at the grocery store. Owen got married again 6 months ago. His new wife, Regina, is a hard-working, honest woman he met at his office. What I like most about her isn't just her transparency, but the way she respects our relationship. She's never tried to interfere or shown the slightest interest in our family finances. The first time Regina came to my house for dinner, she brought ingredients for us to cook together. Adeline, she told me as we prepared vegetables, I want you to know I will never ask you or Owen for money. I believe in working for what I need and being honest about what I can afford. Her words moved me to tears, not only for her honesty, but because I realized how traumatized I'd been by the experience with Sienna. Regina told me last month they're expecting their first child. The news filled me with pure joy I hadn't felt in years. I want our child to know you as the grandmother who had the courage to protect our family, Regina said, holding my hand. Owen has told me the whole story. I deeply admire what you did. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I'd never decided to hide behind those dumpsters. How long would the deception have continued? Would Owen have eventually discovered the truth on his own? I'll probably never know. But what I do know is that the courage to face uncomfortable truths is one of the most important responsibilities we have toward the people we love. Today, at 69 years old, I feel wiser and stronger than I have in decades. Not only because I helped save my son from a destructive situation, but because I proved it's never too late to be brave, to stand up for what's right, to protect those we love. The experience taught me that true strength isn't in avoiding problems. It's in facing them with dignity when necessary, and that sometimes the most difficult decisions are also the most correct ones. As I finish these reflections, I can hear Owen and Regina laughing in the kitchen, preparing Sunday dinner we'll share in a few minutes. It's the sound of a genuine family built on solid foundations of honesty and mutual respect. That sound is worth more than all the dollars we lost during the years of deception. Because in the end, the most valuable thing we have isn't the money we can give. It's the authentic relationships we can build and protect, and no one can ever take that away. Comment where you are watching from.